Okay, well, we're going to start off with Tim, who's going to explain to everyone how this all started and kind of the genesis of the show going up to about what, show 100.
I guess, yeah. It actually started back in 1999, believe it or not. That was when MP3s were kind of really coming into their own. And the idea was recording something in MP3 format and putting it on the MyMac website. So anybody could just click the button, it would play in QuickTime, and you could hear audio. And I actually recorded like an 8-minute demo, if you will, and sent it out to the entire MyMac staff, which I don't know if you were a staff member in 99 or not, Guy.
No, I wasn't. I joined like 2002, 2003,
Yeah, that
something
sounds
like
about
that.
right. Yeah. And I had lost that file years and years and years ago. And Russ Walkowicz found it. He found the email that I had sent it out. And he called it Tim Invents Podcasting, which wasn't accurate. But in essence, there was an intro music. It was me talking on a, you remember I want to say it's Logitech. It was a really dark gray mouse or a microphone that it was just one stick that came out right at you, kind of a sharp angle, and had a button on it to start, to turn on the mic. Yep. So I recorded on that, and the music was just playing in the background because we didn't have an ability to kind of combine those two things in 99, at least not easily on a desktop Mac at the time. And I sent it out to the staff, and it was really about somebody else doing it. That's kind of where it started. Here's something we could do. We could call it MyMac Radio. It'd play on, blah, blah, blah. Maybe we'd have ads on it, that sort of thing. And it went nowhere. Didn't go anywhere until 2004 when Adam Curry and his buddy, I can't remember the other guy's name, invented podcasting.
Dave Weiner.
Yeah. And I couldn't get my RSS feed to work. And it was actually Adam Curry who fixed my RSS feed for this show to start. So we pretty much started this podcast at the dawn of podcasting. There's other shows with higher numbers, if you will, number of episodes out there. Very, very, very few. Maybe 5-6 shows in existence that started as a podcast that is still podcasting.
Before we did.
Yeah, it's been continuous. Since 2004, this show hasn't been on hiatus for more than 3 weeks. During Macworld Expos, we'd have, 2 or 3 episodes.
So what happened after, you got the show started? It was you and Chad. And I know at one point you actually had a TV news crew that came to the house and like interviewed you and Chad about podcasting. It was was that a local Battle Creek station?
Kalamazoo, West Michigan, CBS affiliate came out, did a spot. I don't remember how they found out about us. But it was a very flattering 3, 4, 5-minute piece. It's on my Facebook
it was
page.
long. It was long.
It was. And she was the lady who came out the intro. Actually said blah blah blah. He was picking his domain name when all these other ones were still available. And it was at Chad's house. It was recording a show in GarageBand, and it was pretty cool. I think that was towards the end of 2005, so we'd been doing it for about a year at that point. But yeah, I mean, at the time, you had to explain what podcasting was because nobody knew. That's how soon and early we were podcasting. No one understood what the term podcast even meant. And it was Chad and I at first, but there was a lot of excitement by a lot of people on the staff. I remember John Nimirovsky really wanted to be involved, and he had a segment on the MyMac podcast at the time. Usually he would talk about books and stuff like that. Guy Searle, who did the Dashboard Minute. That was his contributions to start. Nowadays, if you're a newer Mac user, you may not understand what a dashboard is, but it was basically a secondary screen on your Mac, and you could have these little widgets or apps and Guy would find the best and the worst apps to talk about. And you probably did that for 20, 30 episodes.
I think over 30, because I
Yeah.
was still doing it when you got up to I think
We
it
were
was
close
like in
to
the
100.
80s. Yeah, it was in the 80s when you kind of put the kibosh on all the different segments, because it was just getting too hard to edit them
Well,
all in.
David
And
Cohen was our UK. What was it, David? What did we call you?
I was your London roaming correspondent.
That's right, because David was new into Macs, if I'm not mistaken.
I was, yeah.
And you had gone to a show and looked at the iMac, right?
Yeah, well, basically, I reported the entire show, but I just recently got the Mac Mini and really gotten into Macs. And yeah, there was an Apple. I think it was like the last UK Macworld Expo, effectively. And I went to that down in London. It was much smaller compared to the American ones, but I went there and recorded some audio while I was there, and then you were gracious enough to play it. And after that, you kept asking me to come back on the show, so I did.
And then we couldn't get rid of them.
Yeah. Until I got rid of myself for a time, which the fact that Guy still remembers the number of the show means that he's still bearing the mental scars.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
and so that was the beginning. David came in, you were doing it. Gaz, on the other hand, we had a segment where we would invite people, listeners, to the show. And I believe that's how, I think the first time Gaz was on the MyMac podcast, it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Gaz, but wasn't it just you and I?
I think you might be right, actually. Yeah. I don't think there was. It was you were having people on, and I think it was we just timed the week, and I don't think there was anybody else on at that time. I think that's right. And then you invited me back at a later stage with a few more of us. Then there was a hiatus before I jumped on a more permanent basis. But yeah, the first time I came on, I think it may just have been you and I definitely just talk, because I was definitely that. So that would have been around 2008, probably the back end of 2008 or mid 2008, because I'd been doing some stuff with Mike Potter, doing a similar stuff with David, really, like David, doing news and reviews from across the pond is what we called it. And I'd try and concentrate on European Mac news or Apple news if I could. And so it was generally about a 10, 15-minute segment. And I don't know how I picked up. I must have sent a comment in or something, or said, I'd like to be, you might have put a call out, because I was soaping every Mac podcast up that I could, because I was being new to the environment. You just want to learn as much as you possibly can. And, so I was just soaping everything up, and being the quiet sort of chap that I am, I reached out to a few people, and whenever they said, do you want to be on the show or whatever, and I think I pinged out to you guys, because I had quite a lot of views around why I thought Apple should perhaps allow non-Mac Macs to be able to run the software, to bring them into the environment.